Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest guitarists of all time. A man who revolutionized rock music, pioneered a new way of playing guitar, and inspired generations of musicians. But how did he become the legend we know today? This is the story of Eddie Van Halen. Edward Lodewijk Van Halen was born on January 26, 1955, in Amsterdam. Music ran in his blood. His father, Jan Van Halen, was a jazz musician who played saxophone, clarinet, and piano. When Eddie was 7, his family moved to Pasadena, California, in search of a better life. Before he ever picked up a guitar, Eddie trained as a classical pianist. His parents pushed him to take formal lessons, and he even won local piano competitions despite never learning to read sheet music. He played entirely by ear. But everything changed when he heard rock and roll, inspired by Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page. Eddie picked up the guitar and dedicated himself to mastering the instrument. He would play for hours every day, obsessing over technique, tone, and speed. Eddie and his brother Alex originally started out playing together in a band called Mammoth. But when they met David Lee Roth and bassist Michael Anthony, everything clicked. In 1974, they officially formed Van Halen. Van Halen quickly gained a reputation in the LA club scene for their energetic performances and Eddie's jaw-dropping guitar solos. They caught the attention of Gene Simmons, who helped them record a demo. But it was Warner Bros. Who ultimately signed them, leading to the release of their debut album in 1978. Eddie wasn't just a guitarist for Van Halen. His talent was sought after by some of the biggest names in music. Perhaps his most famous collaboration was with Michael Jackson on Beat It in 1983. Eddie recorded the now iconic solo for free, thinking it was just a fun side project. Little did he know it would become one of the most recognizable guitar solos in history. Over the years, Eddie also worked with artists like Brian May, Black Sabbath, and Steve Lukather, always leaving his unique fingerprint on every project. Now let's talk about one of Eddie's biggest contributions to guitar playing: tapping. This technique allows a guitarist to play fast, fluid melodies by using both hands on the fretboard. Tapping involves using a finger, usually the index or middle finger, of the picking hand to tap notes directly onto the fretboard, creating a smooth legato sound. This allows guitarists to play rapid sequences that would be impossible with just one hand. Eddie didn't invent tapping, but he perfected it and brought it into the mainstream. The technique had been used by guitarists before him, including Steve Hackett of Genesis and even classical musicians, but Eddie made it an essential part of rock guitar. Eddie first incorporated tapping into his playing in the mid-70s, but the world first heard it on Eruption from Van Halen's debut album in 1978. The song was an instrumental showcasing his revolutionary technique, and it blew people's minds. Eddie developed his tapping technique through experimentation. He would watch jazz and classical musicians play violin and piano, noticing how they used both hands for complex passages. He translated that concept to the guitar, refining it until it became second nature. After Eruption, tapping became a must-know technique for guitarists everywhere. Players like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, and Randy Rhoads were all influenced by Eddie's approach, taking it even further into the realms of shred guitar. Eddie wasn't just a master guitarist, he was also an inventor. Unsatisfied with the guitars available at the time, he experimented with building his own instruments. Using spare parts from different manufacturers, he created his legendary Frankenstrat, combining the body of a Stratocaster with the electronics of a Gibson, giving him the perfect balance of tone and playability. He famously painted it with red, white, and black stripes, a look that became iconic. But Eddie's experimentation didn't stop at guitars. He also modified amplifiers to achieve his signature brown sound, sometimes running them at lower power levels to create a more compressed, singing sustain. Eddie also played a crucial role in designing the Floyd Rose, which kept his guitar in tune even when performing whammy bar tricks. Eddie changed the guitar forever. His playing was technical yet soulful, innovative yet raw. Whether it was his blazing solos, his legendary riffs, or his groundbreaking tapping technique, he left behind a legacy that will never be forgotten. On October 6, 2020, Eddie passed away at the age of 65 after a long battle with throat cancer. The music world mourned the loss of a true innovator, but his legacy continues to live on. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Eddie Van Halen's life and career, don't forget to like and subscribe for more legendary musician stories.